Hello, friends. Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey. We are breaking down the latest rumors around the Cowboys, and we're going to start with Jalen Hurts. Thanks to that interesting video the Cowboys put out, I'm going to give it 2 stars that they draft him. I think it is possible, probably a little bit more unlikely. Now, before we dive in, this is not a Dak Prescott replacement. That doesn't make sense for the Cowboys. The Cowboys, though, as they publicized on social media, which I found super interesting, by the way, that the Cowboys first chose publicize a Jalen Hurts meeting when your star franchise quarterback hasn't been extended yet. That was interesting to me. But they had a pre-draft meeting with Hurts, and they put part of it on social media. Jerry Jones making a joke with Will McClay. Now, Hurts does not make sense as a year one Dak Prescott replacement. That's just, it's not. Someone might try and tell you that they're the same player. That just means they're not paying attention. But Hurts, I think, would be a great backup for Dak Prescott. In fact, he might be the ideal backup for Dak Prescott. They have a similar-ish play style. They certainly need a back quarterback because Cooper Rush is not the answer. So if Hurts could come in and, be the backup behind Dak Prescott, he fits what I look for in a backup. Someone who can have some success on the ground, someone who's not going to turn the football over, that you can, out of 5 games, win 2 of them with, maybe get lucky on another one. In fact, I think Hurts could be a low-end starter in the NFL. I just think it's unfair to compare him to, he's going to be the next Dak Prescott. Reminder, guys, the Dak Prescotts, the Tom Bradys, the Russell Wilsons, those guys don't come along often. That's kind of like the whole point of getting lucky with those guys in the later rounds. So do you want the Cowboys to take Hurts? I say yes if I can get him in round 4. That is something that intrigues me. If I can get Jalen Hurts after the first 2 days of the draft, I would actually be okay with that. Now, we'll talk a bunch about the NFL draft, but before we dive in, I got a lot of receiver rumors to discuss here. I want to make sure that everyone actually has their notifications turned on. This might surprise you guys. Less than 23% of you have all notifications turned on. Instead, you have personalized where they are off, which means you're going to miss videos. Your YouTube won't send you a push notification alert. They won't do it. So double check, scroll down, hit the big red bell. Make sure it is on all and not personalized. Gone up 0.2%. Let's get to 25 sooner than later. Next up, around Dez Bryant. I'm sure you guys saw this over the weekend. I certainly did. If you saw it, if you're on Twitter, at Local and Downey. I'm still going to give the return 2 stars. I'm not going to pretend anything crazy is going to happen. Not yet. Not till after the draft. But look, Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott had a workout this week. First off, this is not social distancing. I cannot, encourage this. Not a great look. But Dez wasn't the only guy there. I believe that is Lance Lenore in between Dez and Dak. And then I think there's also Fred Ross, one of Dak's good friends from college who played at Mississippi State, also out there working out. But it does actually make some practical sense that Dez and Dak worked out because they're both in Dallas right now. Not all the receivers are. You want to work out with who you can work out with right now, and it's just good. And this happens a lot more than I think, because after all, Mahomes already worked out with Dez Bryant. I am still where I've been for months, weeks now. I don't know. Time kind of blends together these days. The Cowboys signing Dez doesn't make a lot of sense right now. It could make some sense after the NFL draft, and there is nothing wrong with a 1-year deal with no guaranteed money. But you're not signing Dez and going, okay, we're set at slot receiver now. That is not only a bad idea, it's frankly a horrible idea and doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense. But if you draft someone, you can still sign Dez. You can do both. I think it makes the most sense for Dez and the Cowboys. Let's revisit after the NFL draft. If the Cowboys don't get a receiver early, Dez becomes more likely. So do you want Dez Bryant back? Cast your votes, match this a bunch. And I kind of like throwing up the X here if you want Dez Bryant back. So if you do, type in your X in the comment section. P if you want to pass instead. You might get an ad break here on YouTube. If you do, scroll on down. This question is the pinned comment. Next up, Patrick Peterson Trade. This one I know some of you will like. You're not going to be giving it the 1 star, however. So sorry, Patrick Peterson fans who wanted to come to the Dallas Cowboys. He has been linked to trade rumors, so there is some semblance of truth here. And fan side, I was like, this could happen, maybe. And he would fill the Cowboys' need of a number 1 cornerback. The issue is the cost, both in terms of a trade and I think more importantly, the money that you would pay Patrick Peterson. He does not want to come and sign a cheap deal. No, he wants to get paid. He is ready for a new deal. He's due for one. And Patrick Peterson, now about to turn 30, is still a really good NFL cornerback. Although I will make note, he hasn't quite been the same guy. This 2019 was a bit of regression for Patrick Peterson. Now there was some off the field stuff, the suspension that he went through in the past as well. So that certainly played into it. But those aren't great numbers. But I think historically, and what else Peterson has done in his NFL career, that's a mirage. I don't think that's what he's going to become. I think a bounce back year is extremely likely. So yes, I do think getting Patrick Peterson would give you a number one corner. And boy, do the Cowboys need a number one corner right now. Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, Anthony Brown, Maurice Canady. That's not a number one corner right there. That's maybe a 2 and a bunch of 3s. That's not going to get the deal done. So in terms of the trade side of it, you're probably looking at the Darius Slay deal. In fact, not just for the trade, but for the extension too. You're looking at $15-16 million per year. The Cowboys didn't want to pay that for Darius Slay. They didn't want to pay Byron Jones that price tag. They didn't want to pay Chris Harris $10 million. So I don't think they would have a ton of interest in Patrick Peterson, as frustrating as that might be. And frankly, I think the Darius Slay asking price could be about right, although not as convinced Peterson is as desperate to get out of Arizona as Darius Slay was. So let me know in the comment section. No wrong answers here, just more likely and less likely trade packages to be accepted. What would you guys trade for Patrick Peterson? Let's move on. If the Cowboys should not want Antonio Brown, I was concerned when I saw Antonio Brown in a headline on Sports Illustrated and the Cowboys, but a good take was made. 4 stars on this one. You don't want Antonio Brown on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, as producer Dylan said to me pre-show, that'd be a great receiving core, AB, Cooper, and Gallup. And he's right, it would be. I'm not touching Antonio Brown with a 10-foot pole. He's the Grinch. I don't want him on my team. He's talented, I know. It didn't work out in Oakland. Of course, the Raiders now in Las Vegas. Didn't technically work out for the Patriots. The Pittsburgh Steelers don't want to touch him. Hard pass. I know that Antonio Brown was the best receiver in the NFL for like 5 straight years. I'm not going to bring him in. I know Jerry loves a good second chance, and I appreciate that about Jerry. Not AB, though. I don't want to deal with that. That is going to be more trouble than it is worth. Just draft somebody else, as that same point was made on the Sports Illustrated article. I get it. It's intriguing. Maybe if you didn't have Amari Cooper and you were desperate for wide receiver help, maybe I would change my tune just a little bit. But because you just need a number 3 and you can find that guy in the draft, I don't want to bring Antonio Brown into this organization. Now we're going to talk draft receivers here coming up, which reminds me the Cowboys draft hats are available right now at chatsports.com/Cowboys draft hat. That is chatsports.com/Cowboys draft hat. Do not worry. I'll put that link in the comments and the description for you guys. Some good news on this front too. Hats actually are good this year. They don't suck like they have in years past. These are actually good hats. So I can't wait to get my own there. They're available right now at chatsports.com/Cowboys draft hat. They are black this year, different styles, brims, all that. I think they actually look pretty solid, which is a nice change of pace. Let's move back to the NFL draft here. As promised, draft receiver talk. How about Denzel Mims? I'll give this one 2 stars. I know producer Dylan really wants it to happen. I would be okay with this. The issue for Denzel Mims is figuring out where is the best spot to take him. Now, the Cowboys did have a pre-draft meeting with Denzel Mims. Clearly, there is some level of interest in adding him, but I think figuring out the range could be tricky because I like Denzel Mims a lot. I think his range is between number 17 and between number 51, the Cowboys' 2 picks in round 1 and round 2. So do you trade up in round 2? Do you trade down in round 1? That's a little bit tricky. Here are his meetings, okay? The Eagles, who could very well take Denzel Mims in round 1. The Cowboys, of course. The Rams have no first-round picks, so that's a round 2 exploration. The Jets have 11, and then they're not going to take him there, so I have to trade down or more likely round 2. I actually think Denzel Mims to Green Bay makes a lot of sense. I think that's a really good fit for both parties there. Tennessee, which is intriguing, maybe a round 1. The Colts have 2 early second-rounders, both for the Cowboys, so that's an issue if you want Denzel Mims in round 2. And the Bucs and Bills also more likely round 2 options. Denzel Mims wowed at the Combine. A different player here, of course, but Denzel Mims' Combine kind of reminded me of Leighton Vanish's Combine because I knew going in, okay, this is a good athlete. What I got was elite athlete, and that matters to me. So if I can get Denzel Mims in round 2, I like that. I just don't know if the value is going to work out quite right for the Cowboys. So I don't want to spend a round 1 pick on a receiver if it's not one of the big 3 of Lamb, Judy, and Ruggs, which brings me to my next question for you guys. What round should the Cowboys draft a wide receiver in? Let me know what you guys think. I'm going between round 1 and round 4. I know I'm going to find good value there. It's just a matter of which players are left on the board beyond receiver, and come round 4, I got to make sure that I've got one already on my team. Let's move on now to potential maybe day 3, maybe late day 2 pick. Van Jefferson, the Florida wide receiver, 2 stars on this one. Maybe a little bit more likely than Denzel Mims just because of where I think Jefferson is going to end up going. Now, ESPN and kind of pegged Jefferson as the Cowboys stuff. They went to their top receivers and listed the Cowboys and Jefferson as the ideal match there. He's a great route runner, can play the slot. The big red flags here, surgery for a foot fracture, which he'll be fine for week 1, but could dock him a little bit entering the NFL draft. That's a possibility. Did not have great production at Florida. You can see it here, his career stats. First off, 2 years spent at Florida, 2019 and 2018. 2017-16 were actually at Ole Miss. Never really had great quarterback play, especially at Florida. Now, he is a little bit older, but I think he's more developed. I think he'd be a good wide receiver 3. I think he would fit with what Dak Prescott wants to do. ESPN pegged him at number 82 overall. I wouldn't hate it. I would just really prefer to see if you can get him in round 4. You might not be able to. That's probably asking a little bit too much. But if I end up with a core of Cooper, Gallup, and Jefferson, and let's say even if it is round 3, and I spend my first 2 picks on defense, I think that could be a really good draft class haul for the Dallas Cowboys. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.